ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ वर्स् 179 तावता मुक्तिरित्याहुः श्रुतयः स्मृतयस्तथा श्रुतिस्मृतिममैवाग्न्ये इत्यपीश्वरभाषितम्. So as a part of this Tatpadartha Vichara, Vidyaranya talks about Ishvara Swarupa. Ishvara is Antaryami, inner controller, and inner controller for everything, of Adhyatma, Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva. And then, of course, the question was raised that if Ishvara is the inner controller of everything, he is a Niyanta, then of all the Jivas, Adhyatma means, then what about Jiva's free will? So then Vidyaranya answered in 177 that this free will is an integral part of the creation. It is a Vishesha Karanam basically for varieties in the creation. The creation what you are seeing right now is of this type. It's due to Jiva's free will. Jiva's karma basically. Karma and free will one and the same thing. So Ishvara is a Samanya Karanam. He manifested Jagat, that's okay. And who maintains also the creation through the laws. That is also true. But the type of creation which you are seeing, then Jiva's karma or the free will is the cause. Therefore, free will also exists, and God's will of manifesting the creation as per the laws of karma, etc. That is God's will. That also is there. Ishvara's will is nothing but this, basically, the laws of karma. That's Ishvara's will. And Jiva's free will, karma. Ishvara's free will, law of karma. Jiva's free will, karma. That's all. Both are required. I think it is clear, right? God's will is nothing but this law of karma. And Jiva's will or Jiva's free will is karma. And therefore, both are responsible and for the function in the world, for the type of the world, etc. And both together decides this nature of things in the creation, and that way both cannot enjoy absolute freedom. Ishvara's freedom also is relative. Jiva's freedom also is relative. In Vyavaharika plane, both cannot enjoy absolute freedom. And we say so because Ishvara also has a Sarvajnatvam, Sarvashaktinatvam, etc. to create any form. But that still he can create any kind of a form because he is Sarvashakti. But it is curtailed as though by another factor called Punya Papa of karma of a Jiva or a free will of a Jiva, which decides the type of creation. Otherwise he would create very simple. In this today's situation it is very simple. A lot of people ask me the question why Ishvara is created COVID-19 virus. Yeah, simple answer. That shows Ishvara has no he's not absolute free will. He's basically an ocean of compassion. Why should he create COVID? Why should he create? In order to, if he wants to really punish the people, then how he is called compassionate? That shows his freedom is curtailed by Jiva's karma. He has to create because Jiva's karmas are such. What can he do? So type of the creation is due to definitely Jiva's free will, karma. And thereby Ishvara, even though he is Sarvashakti Sarvajñatvam, well, otherwise he would create all 14 worlds as heaven only. Why should he create hell? Why should he create hell? No, Swamiji, hell is for the Jiva's karma. Okay, then type of the creation is decided by Ishvara, not type of the creation is decided by Jiva's karma. So that way both enjoy the relative freedom, basically. So anyway, so he is compelled to create a hell, or he is compelled to create viruses and bacteria. We don't find any purpose, basically. Why this virus has no advantage, etc. He is only damages, etc. in the creation. But this is how it is. Anyway, so there is no partiality as such on the part of Ishvara also, because Jiva's karma only decides the type of creation. So what can he do? Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti na priya. Bhagavan said, Samoham, aham samaha. In all the beings I am saying, name dveshya, name priya. I don't have any raga dvesha for any Jiva. So Ishvara's freedom also is relative. And what about Jiva's freedom? Jiva's freedom and the karma, well, which is controlled by Ishvara's law of karma, also will be there. So both being governed by, both karanams are there for the type of creation, for the creation as such, samanya karanam and vishesha karanam. Samanya karanam, God's will, that is law of karma. Vishesha karanam, well, basically Jiva's karma, free will. So this together will create a world and creates a world. Why we will creates the world in this fashion. So anytime Ishvara wants to basically create a world, it is presupposed by Jiva's karma. If Jiva's karma also should be there before creation, right? Because to get the type of, to create a type of creation is decided by Jiva's karma. So Jiva's karma should be there before creation. If Jiva's karma should be there before creation, Jiva also should be there before creation. So Jiva and Ishvara both are anadi. So it's not Ishvara created and then Ishvara created Jiva and then then Jiva started doing karma. No. That very creation presupposes Jiva's karma, and therefore Jivas also must be there. And therefore Jivas and Ishvara both are anadi. And so not only Ishvara but Jiva and their karmas both should have been existent before creation. And because of this reason in Vedanta we say Ishvara and Jiva both are anadi. And so each one restrict other, basically. Control the other. So Ishvara as though is controlled by Jiva's karma. Jiva is as though controlled by law of karma. So ultimately both have the role. So Ishvara requires a karma factor. Definitely that way he is controlled. And Jiva requires a governing law of karma. And thereby Jiva is controlled. And so Ishvara and Jiva both should have been there from beginningless time. Both are anadi. So in Vedanta we have 6 anadis. We have enumerated 6 anadi tattva. Jiva ishav vishuddha chit tatha jiveshayor bhida avidya tat chiter yogah shadasmakam anadayah. Look at that. So this is so even though we are Advaitin, there are 6 anadis basically. So as I told you, so Jiva ishav, Jiva is anadi. Ishav, Ishvara. Jiva Ishav, it's a dual. So Jiva Ishav, Jiva is anadi, Ishvara is anadi. Vishuddha Chit, you can understand. Consciousness, Chaitanyam also is anadi. Tatha Jiveshvayoho Bida. If Jiva is anadi, Ishvara is anadi, then their division also, their Veda also, the difference also is anadi. Then Avidya, Avidya also is anadi, because Jiva is due to Avidya only. So if Jiva is anadi, Avidya must be anadi. And Avidya cannot begin as such. Avidya cannot begin. If Avidya begins, we should give up the study. We should move around in the spring. We should enjoy the creation and eat and drink and etc. That's all. Because if Avidya is not anadi, if Avidya begins, then right now I am gaining knowledge. and I am removing ignorance, right? And someday it will again come back. If Jiva Avidya has a beginning, it will come back again. It's anadi. It is from beginning time, and it goes for good. That's all. It goes for good. So Avidya also is anadi. Tat chitehe yogaha. And so avidya tat chitehe yogaha. Avidya and Chaitanya, that yoga, so that identification also is anadi. It's simple to understand. Anyway, these Nayayikas, or I think Vaisheshika, they define this kala as avidya chit sanyoga. The sanyoga between avidya and this consciousness, Brahman, is called kala. Anyway, but that is beginningless. Anyway, but this question is very, now it's a very genuine question that you say you are Advaiti, and shamelessly now you count 6 anadis. And therefore, how 6 anadis, how can you, if you say, well, Chaitanya is anadi, Brahman is anadi, that is understood. But you count so many things. And therefore, avidya and jiva and Ishvara, and then this Chaitanyam also, and avidya also, and avidya chit sanyoga also, and Jiva Ishwar Veda also, all anadi, then you have not just, you are not Advaiti, you are basically Shadvaiti. So, because everything is beginningless. So, all 6 are there. Not just Chaitanyam is there, all these are there. So, how can you call yourself as Advaiti? We have no problem. We know that you are going to ask this question. So, well, no problem. Out of 6, 5 are Mithya. That is Vyavarika Anadi basically. And so only 1 is Paramarthika Anadi, and therefore Vishuddha Chit is Paramarthika Anadi. And so because of this reason, well, on wake of knowledge, these 5 are negated. Right now you say Anadi. Then once you dive deep into Vedanta, the 5 Anadis you will negate them as a Mithya. Okay, and therefore basically this one Anadi and Anantam is this Brahman, which cannot be negated. That's how Satyam. Satyam is which cannot be negated. All the 5 are negated. Yeah, all the 5 are negated. Jiva is negated, Ishvara is negated, Jiva Ishvara Veda is negated, Avidya is negated, Avidya Chit Sanyog identification with Avidya of Brahman, etc. is negated. Everything is negated. It's Mithya. And therefore, they don't have a reality. That's all. And the real thing is only Brahman. So when they are negated, then they can't remain Anantam. They are Anadi, but they cannot remain. Anadi, Anantam is just one, which has no beginning, which has no end, means which can never be available for negation, which can never be available, which is not subject to time, is one thing alone. That is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Satyam Brahma. So Jiva and Ishvara, of course, anyway, both are Anadi, and therefore Jiva Karmas and Ishvara's Niyama, Ishvara's will, Ishvara's law of karma, and Jiva's karma, both are Anadi. And then Jiva karma represents the free will, Ishvara Niyama represents God's will, and any creation is controlled by both the wills, karma and niyama. Karma and niyama. Niyama means law of karma. Law of karma, Ishvara's will. Karma, Jiva's contribution. Samanya karanam, Vishesha karanam. Simple, very, very nice. So both are Anadi, basically. And it decides creation, it decides future, everything. God's will, my situation. Oh, then why he gave me this situation? Oh, karma also. Vishesh karanam. Morning also, only I told. Four people got infected with the COVID. Then one person, he remaining in the home, within 4 days got cured. Yeah, this new variant, Indian variant. One, could not. After 4 or 5 days, he was hospitalized. And then got cured, came back. Third one, hospitalized, got cured, then got heart attack, died. Fourth, got infected, hospitalized, could not be cured. In COVID, due to COVID only died. Why? It's a pandemic. Everyone should be. No, as such situation is, it's prevalent, right? Everyone should be infected. No. The 5th one is not infected at all. He is moving around. He or she is moving around. In Ahmedabad, he is moving around. He, she. What I am saying is, so situation, God's will. Pandemic is a God's will, definitely. But at the same time, contribution of karma, of jiva. So every situation is both. One who takes into account both is a wise person as a bhokta. That's all. That's what I told in the morning. One who takes into account that this situation is God's will and my own karma, and therefore I should accept the situation, given situation, whatever the experience, I have to accept it. He is a wise person as a bhokta. Then gaining strength also is a maturity, etc., through prayer, etc. That's another wisdom on the part of bhokta. But I'm just saying, so both are anadi anyway. So it decides, both decides, Vishesh Karanam, Samanya Karanam, decides the future. And that's how Bhagavan brings about a pralaya. Bhagavan brings about a creation, all but depending upon karmas of jiva and depending upon law of karma. But that is his will only. So that is nothing to worry. So he is not dependent on law of karma. That is his will actually. But he is dependent upon the karmas of Vyashti and Samashti karmas of jiva. That's there. He brings out a creation and dissolution, etc. His freedom is total. He doesn't decide. He doesn't decide, that, now let me resolve. No. When the jiva's karmas, samashti karmas also are exhausted, then he resolves. Exhausted means now manifestation in terms of prarabdha, etc., individual prarabdha is over. Jivas are tired now. They want sleep. So then he resolves. So at a Vyavarika plane, jiva has a relative freedom and Ishvara also has a relative freedom. And so, but Ishvara has a relative freedom. Ishvara has a relative freedom. Ishvara is a mithya. Why should you worry? Vyavarika plane, we are saying you, is not an absolute reality. And then Vidyaranya says, this relative freedom is enough to know this asangatma. That is, this is enough. Whatever the freedom is been given to a human being is more than enough to know that I am free. I am free forever. I was free, not I am free or I will be free. I am free and I will be free is ignorance. I am free and I will be free is ignorance. If you take into account past also, you are a wise person. I was free, I am free and I will be free. That's a wisdom. I was not born, I am not born, I will not be born. That's a freedom. That's a wisdom. People think I will not be reborn. What about that? Well, in the past I have taken birth. Then some problem is there. Yeah. No, but sorry, past he has taken birth. Past he was jiva and now he was converted into Brahman. Kya baat hai? What knowledge is this? What is this knowledge? You were jiva and now you are converted to Brahman. Have you seen any limited thing got converted into limitless? Show me one example. Show me one example that a limited thing get converted into limitless. Limitless, if it is there, and if you can't appreciate it, it is ignorance. That's all it is. So I was born. Means I was limited in time. Is a ignorance, pure ignorance. It's a ajnana gana. So that is ajnana gana. So this is prajnana gana. This is ajnana gana. I was never born. That's how all the jnanis, they never claim like this. How I am Brahmanist. They know that was a mistake. Yeah, once you commit a mistake, you try to hide because you feel shame, right? You feel shame. This is the 10th man. Definitely, after realizing that I am 10th, he won't speak anything. He feels that what amount of crying and all these things and the search and everything was totally a futile thing. Yeah, that's the thing. So this is a wisdom. I was never born, I was never limited, I was never karta, I was never bhokta, not I am karta, etc. I was not karta, bhokta. Well, all that was notion, that notion I have removed, yeah. I was karta, bhokta, that notion I have removed. I was born, etc. That was notion, that I have removed. Yeah, that's there. And so the jiva is purely a born of ignorance. That's how its upadhi is ignorance only. Ignorance and born notions. Born of ignorance, notions. All notions pertaining to any individual. I am an individual itself is a big notion. That's a fantastic thing. This is a beautiful thing in Vedanta. So don't worry about it, this moksha, etc. It is your nature. Realize it. I mean, better you understand it. That this is, the reality about you is that you are free. Anyway, so this relative freedom, the free will, whatever he has, is enough to know that I am asanga. I am asanga, I am free. Nothing affects me. This knowledge is gained basically by this Vyavarika Jiva with a relative freedom. We call it Vyavarika freedom, right? And with Vyavarika Guru, Vyavarika Shastra, everything. To know what? To know Paramarthically free. Paramarthically, what is this? Anyway, to know the reality about oneself, that I am absolutely free. So with this free will, one can definitely know. And if he knows that I am absolutely free, well, then he is not basically, this freedom, this absolute freedom is not controlled by God's will, as well as not controlled by one's free will, basically. And therefore, this is called absolute thing, which is not controlled by any other thing. So because this reality about oneself cannot be affected by this Vyavarika Jiva. I am Brahman. Vyavarika Jiva means which is Mithya. Mithya can never affect the Satyam. And therefore, basically, this is what he can know. So relatively free I has to know basically that I am absolutely free. Once I discover this absolute freedom, well, or freedom centered on absolute, I mean the real I, well, I learn to accept limited freedom at the level of ego. And as an individual, with a relative free will, well, that is a relative freedom that I accept at a level of ego, etc. No problem. So Gnani, that's how Gnani accepts his ahankara with a limited ahankara, etc. He accepts. And he accepts all limitation. Because his freedom is in spite of the limitation. He knows that I am limitless in spite of limitations. Oh, I have a limited memory. He accepts. Because this limited memory cannot make him limited. That's the thing. Limited memory, limited body, limited power, limited sensual, this perception, etc. Well, it does not make him limited. Ajnani evaluates himself on the basis of this limited body, mind, sense complex. That's how, they always feel limitation centered on oneself. But he realized that, well, I am absolutely free, basically. I am Brahman. I am not this body, mind, sense complex, and therefore limitations of body, mind, sense complex cannot make him limited. So he is free in spite of limitations. That's called absolute. Absolute means it is not affected by anything. Therefore, he accepts limitation at the level of ego. He accepts. So that is voluntary acceptance of this limitation. Bondage is not a bondage. Anytime anything voluntarily accepted, like traffic rules, right? If I accept traffic rules, as such rules means I should feel bondage, right? Any rule can make me feel bound. I have to follow. But if you accept those rules, you will not feel bondage. If you cannot accept traffic rules, you will always feel bondage. That's how many people who do not accept rules of traffic, they feel they have to stop at the junction with that red signal, etc. They don't like, but what can they do? So voluntary acceptance of a bondage is not a bondage. That's how it is. Any voluntary acceptance of a bondage is not a bondage. That's how it is. A voluntarily acceptance of not eating is not starvation. It's called fasting. Yeah. And and in a family, all are voluntarily says, well, we will do this, that Ekadashi. Yeah, we'll do Ekadashi. One person will be there always. He says, I don't want to do. I don't want to do. Then, but they say they will not make for you. Whatever is there for the Ekadashi, you will have to eat. He will feel, at the end of the day, he will tell, oh, today I starved. All others say we have done a fasting today. They never have that kind of complaint. This person has complained. Oh, I could not eat properly. All what you make in the Ekadashi, I can't eat. I don't like it also. Anyway, but I managed, okay? And so, so voluntarily acceptance of not eating is a fasting. If one doesn't accept, well, it is called starvation. That's how it is. And therefore, he voluntarily accepts. Why should not he accept? He accepts. That's a mithya. Ahankara is mithya. In fact, it is order. It's God's will. Yeah, Jnani's mind, that's what I always say. Jnani lives in Ishvara Sushti. Ego is Ishvara Sushti, mind, all is Ishvara Sushti, Prarabdha is Ishvara Sushti. And therefore, ego has to undergo this pleasure, pain, etc. And well, so that's Ishvara Sushti, God's will. He accepts. That is why he does not feel bondage at the level of ego. And as such also it is mithya. He knows that, well, I am limitless Brahman, because of which even the ego is sustained, right? And therefore, basically, he does not feel. That's how Prarabdha continues, Ishvara Sushti. Prarabdha continues, Ishvara Sushti. If Jiva Sushti means Jiva Sushti has gone, ignorance gone, then this ego, everything should go. No. Ego continued. Body continued. Because Ishvara Sushti. You cannot destroy. You cannot destroy Ishvara Sushti. That will be there. You can destroy your Srushti. Definitely. Your Srushti means that that Sapna Srushti. Dream creation you can destroy. Yeah. Yeah, it comes out of your will and goes by your will. Okay. But if it is God's will, law of karma, then Prarabdha is Ishvara's will, law of karma. Well, you can imagine, this is how it is. No, even though Prarabdha, well, definitely earned by Jiva, but it is due to law of karma. If he does this karma, this will be the result. If he does this is a law. It's God's will. It's Ishvara Sushti. Purely Prarabdha is a Ishvara Sushti. Body is a Ishvara Sushti as per the Prarabdha. Then ego also will be Ishvara Sushti. Yeah, body is there, but ego is not there. Then who will enjoy Prarabdha? Body cannot enjoy Prarabdha. Pleasure, pain, etc., whatever is there, should be enjoyed by that conscious being. So the ego will continue. Only thing is, on part of the Jnani, this ego is mithya. Like every other thing. The whole creation is mithya. Ego is also mithya. Same thing. No problem at all. For Ishvara, without undergoing any process of teaching, etc., he knows this is a mithya creation. Through my Maya, this all thing is manifested. Maya is mithya, very clear in his mind. And therefore, whole creation and the Jiva and Jiva's karma and karma phala and everything is mithya. Ishvara knows because of its Vishuddha Satta Upadhi Maya, basically. Jiva has to work for, basically. He has to undergo a teaching, etc. Because avidya is a upadhi and therefore he doesn't know. And therefore he has to undergo. And once he undergoes, it is the same creation, mithya creation. And then mithya creation continues. That is how it is mithya. That is how it is mithya. Mithya means, well, it loses reality. Experientially it will continue. That will be mithya, right? And therefore it will continue. Everything continues. So Jnanis does not have any problem with relative freedom of this ego, relative free will. He has no issue at all. He knows. With that relative free will, he realized and gained knowledge. That depends upon free will ultimately. Ultimately to, basically undergo this. I mean, in the process of knowing, etc. All this is his free will. And so, doing Shravanam, Mananam, everything. So, Jnani's Ahankara has even relatively, limited freedom. but it is not a bondage for him. So from worldly angle, he accepts the prarabdha, basically. But from his own angle, from Atma's standpoint, he says, I have no karma at all. I did not do anything, he said. He said, I did not do anything in past also. This Sanchita, Prarabdha and all these things, it does not belong to me. The moment he loses that I am not a karta, he realized I was not a karta at all to begin with. And therefore he loses all connection to karma immediately, instantly. That is also part of law, that is also law of karma. And so, this is a corollary of these two powerful verses here. So, Tavata Muktihi, Mukti, Atma Asangaha. I am Asangaha basically. I am unconnected to anything. I am not connected to time, not connected to karma, not connected to any place, not connected to any object. So, Tavata, I mean, knowing this thing, by knowing this, my real nature, well, ultimately, Mukti iti. So, Mukti iti ahu. This is called Mukti. To know this also is a Mukti. So, and then Jnani accepts a limitation of the body, mind, sense complex or ego as our individual, etc. So, Shankaracharya says, that's how he says, Prarabdhaya samarpitam vapuhu ityesha manisha mama. So, in Manisha Panchakam it came. So, Prarabdhaya samarpitam vapuhu. Now, he has given up. He has totally surrendered to Prarabdha. This vapuhu, basically this body, is surrendered to Prarabdha. So, as long as that arrow, we have seen that. So, arrow will continue. So long, as long as the momentum is there, so far that will go. Anyway. So, he voluntarily submits to law of karma or God's will. So, that's how we say Jnani is, like a doll, they say. He in the hands of Ishvara, basically. So he does all this. So whatever arises in his mind also is Ishvara, basically. Whatever is released by Antaryami, varieties of vasanas and certain karmas, etc., and he performs varieties of the things, is all Ishvara Sankalpa, basically. His free will is not much of use now. He has already used it. And now he is totally surrendered to Ishvara. So, iti shrutayaha smrutayaha ahuhu. So, this is basically a declaration of Shruti and Smriti, this power of Lord as Samanya Karanam, with God's will, etc., which we call as Antaryami, we have seen also. So, this is a first line. Tavata mukti iti ahu, shrutaya smrutayas tatha, etc. This is a declaration of Shruti, Smriti, etc. And that Ishvara is a Samanya Karanam. Ishvara's will, law of karma, etc. is a Samanya Karanam, he is Antaryami, etc. Now in second line, in this verse 179, he differentiates this Antaryami from Sarveshwaratma. First line, he describes a inner controller of everything, God's will or etc. etc. And now he, in the second line, he mentions Ishvara as a Sarveshwara. Because that is why in the Mundaka and Mandukya it is there, right? Esha Sarveshwaraha, Esha Sarvagnaha, Esha Antaryami, Esha and Prabhavapyayohi Bhutanam, etc. etc. Sarvasya Yonihi, etc. All these have been mentioned. And we have already seen Sarveshwara. Vidyaranya has, defined what is Sarveshwara, etc. Now he is showing a difference between Antaryami and Sarveshwara. The first line shows that he is an inner controller. Through the law of karma, etc. He is the inner controller. We call it as a God's will also. Now in second line he is mentioning Sarveshwara and thereby he is showing the difference between them. He mentions and he says he is a Sarveshwara because Shruti Smriti Mamaiva Agni iti api Ishvara Bhashitam. Ishvarana Bhashitam. Ishvara has declared this. That Shruti Smriti Mamaiva Agni, basically all this what has been discussed in the Shruti and Smriti, they are basically my command. So he mentions Sarveshwaratam like this. So he is basically Shruti Smriti talks about Ishvara as a creator, right? And so creator of world is there and then manual of the world. So all the niyamas will be there. That belongs to Sarveshwara. I will explain you, don't worry. So, niyama by which the whole creation has come, law of karma and everything, of course. then basically that formation of these laws, and then according to those laws, according to these laws to create also is Sarveshwaratam. And then people follow that law of karma is Antaryami. I'll explain you that, don't worry. So that has been explained here, and I think Vidyaranya has taken from that Varaha Purana that this particular statement is there. Shruti Smriti Mamaiva Agnye Ullangye Naiva Karhechit Agnalangi Mamadveshi Madbhaktopihi Avaishnavaha. So it has been told like this. So Shruti Smriti Mamaiva Agnye, the Shruti and Smriti, whatever has been narrated there, all the laws have been narrated there, and I was mentioned as a creator, etc. Well, this and the laws, well, definitely laws of karma involves laws of dharma also. So Shruti Smriti Mamaiva Agnye, all these are told by me only, and I mean Ishvara has created the Shastra and told this. Ullange Naiva Karhichit, they should never be violated. Karhichit means, well, basically under any circumstances they should not be violated. Naiva Ullange. Agnyalangi Mamadveshi, if somebody violates, then Mamadveshi automatically becomes my enemy. Madbhaktopi Avaishnava. So he is basically Madbhakta, even though he tells himself that I am a Vaishnava. So, he claims to external insignia, basically. Chandanam, Kumkumam and all this, and then Brahma Sambandha and everything will be there. So, basically, but Bhagavan says, that this, even though external insignia marks are there, he is not a Vaishnava, he is not a Vishnu Bhakta, basically. And so, one has to follow law of karma, etc. And one has to accept, it seems one has to accept Ishvara as a creator of the creation also, because Shruti Smriti only narrates all this. No one can say, no human being or no sciences can reveal that, well, Ishvara is a creator, right? Where is a question of science accepting these things. Anyway, so this is told by basically Shastra only. So to describe Ishvara as a creator, also as creator of framing all the laws of karma, etc., is called Sarveshwaratvam. And then as per the law of karma, every jiva, well, definitely does the thing. And he releases vasanas and karmas as per the law of karma, then he is called Antaryami. I will give you an example, so don't worry about it. So if person definitely does not follow, he violates the law of karma, etc., then definitely he will be punished. That's what Bhagavan said in 4th chapter. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami. So that shows very clearly the one who does not follow Shruti Smriti Agnya, one who does not follow dharma, etc., he becomes, so Agnya Langi Mamadveshi, take him as my enemy. And so to take care of them, Bhagavan comes, decides, etc. Anyway, verse number 180. Agnyaya bhiti hetutvam bhishasmaditi shrutam sarveshwaratvam tatsyat antaryamitvatah prithak. So because, this commandments, his commandments in Shruti, Smriti, etc. has to be followed. So if the one does not follow, violation of it will definitely attract punishment. So every commandment becomes a source of fear for a human being. And following these things, well, that are prohibited, well, definitely incurs papam. It will bring papam, it will attract papam. And so disobeying this commandment will not be good for jiva. So Agnayaha bhiti hetutvam. Very nicely said. These Agnyas, commandments, basically is a cause of fear, naturally. If somebody gives this kind of command, especially Ishvara give this commandment, and if one does not follow, and then he will incur papam and then unfavorable situations, etc., which will follow that, definitely becomes a cause of fear. And so, Agnayaha bhiti hetutvam, this Shruti Smriti Agnya, basically, while if not following, basically this commandment becomes a source of fear. This is said in the Veda itself. So how? Where it is said, Bhishasmat iti shrutam. Taitira Shruti. Taitira Shruti says this, Bhishasmat vatah pavate, Bhishodeti suryah, Bhishadagnischendrascha, mrityurdhavati panchama iti. It has been told in Brahmanandvali. So Bhishasmat. So Asmat Bhisha, basically all these devatas, etc. Well, Bhisha means by out of fear, basically. So out of the fear, well, even devatas also follow their own dharmas. I mean, they have to follow their own dharmas due to the agnya of a Ishvara. And so this status of Ishvara as a Srishtikarta, etc. And creating a formatting, basically forming these laws, etc. is called Sarveshwaratam. So etat Sarveshwaratam syat. Well, definitely the Shruti Smriti Agnya, which has been there, all the laws have been depicted in the Shastra, is because Ishvara is a Sarveshwara. Antaryami tvataha pruthak. Basically, it is different from Antaryamitva. We have seen that example. I told you about that tournament example. Organizing tournament, well, by ICC, let us say, International Cricket Committee or something, right? ICC organizes tour. And they form certain rules. They sometimes bring a change also in the rules also. Committee. So ICC organize a tournament, then they form the rules, everything. They set up everything. That is called their Sarveshwaratva. And then once the game begins, then at individual level, every individual has to follow that law. Or every law begins to operate upon that individual, sports person. That's called Antaryamitva. Clear now? So, before the tournament begins, the tournament has been decided in so and so season, and what are the players, who will play with whom, etc. All this, and certain rules, they bring a change also in rules, or the very rules itself, when they have decided, they form certain rules also. All this is showing that ICC is a Ishvara, Sarveshwara, like that. Giving an example. And then once tournament begins, then every law what they have formed, begins to operate upon every sports person. That is called Antaryamitva. That's called. So this is how every individual is controlled, basically, by the law, right? And that law, he is controlled by that law, and that law has been formed by the same body of the cricket body, international cricket body. So when law operates at the Veshti level, he is called Antaryami. But the very law is formed and the creation has been brought about. This is all Sarveshwara, etc. Anyway, so I hope you have understood the difference between two. 181. Etasya va aksharasya prashasana iti shrutihi antah pravishta shastayam jananamiti cha shrutihi. Now Vidyaranya himself shows a distinction between Antaryami and Sarveshwara by quoting different Upanishad. So Veda itself talks about a distinct status of Ishvara as a Antaryami as well as Sarveshwara. The first statement, Etasya va aksharasya prashasane gargi Dyava prithivyo chandrau etc. etc. Dyava prithivyo etc. tishtata. Vidrute tishtata. That's a Akshara Brahmana in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 3.8.9. And this there, Etasya va aksharasya prashasane gargi. So Shruti talks about the one who lays down all the laws of creation. Prashasana. Prashasana means a constitution maker, that kind of thing. So etasya va aksharasya prashasana. The aksharam, naksharati iti aksharaha. This Paramatma who is akshara, whose prashasana, who's basically under his ruler, under his rule, basically this, all the things have been, this Surya and Chandra and all the sun, moon, earth, all are moving around. As such, vidrute tishtataha means they hang in the space. Such a heavy body, They just hang in the space. How is it possible? This is all law of Ishvara, basically. So that's called Sarveshwaratva. So then, like, when India got freedom, in 1947, etc., then they laid that constitution, basically, a governing law for the country, etc. That's called Sarveshwaratva. And, so far as it's here, once the creation comes along with the law of karma and everything, well, that is due to Sarveshwaratam. And once the jivas are born, according to law of karma, then implementation of law throughout their life is due to Antaryami. Clear? So, he is getting varieties of the situations, and some part of the karma and vasanas get released. We have seen that Antaryami. So, all jivas are born according to law of karma. Once they are born, then implementation of law at micro level basically is due to, because Ishvara is a inner controller being present there. So, and therefore karma of a mosquito makes us basically bite. Punya papa basically must be tallied, right? So, and therefore, if in India especially, what happens, people sit in the class, and then you are getting punya also, and in both the ways you are doing shravanam, and therefore definitely you get punya. At the same time, your papa also get released, because some mosquitoes will be there, and especially in monsoon, and so you will you will get lot of bites of mosquitoes. So your papas are also get destroyed. I mean, this is how it is. Once the whole creation comes to manifestation, as per the law of karma and as per the God's will, then the law of karmas pervade all the jivas who have come into the manifestation, and then that is due to Ishvara as a Antaryami. And this Punya Papa tally continues. If some of our family member gets sick, right? So that person is suffering due to some pap karma. But at the same time, family members also who are around and serving him or something, well, they are also affected, right? They are also affected. And therefore, well, their karmas are also there anyway. So many karmas get exhausted and like that, Anyway, so this is Etasya Aksharasya Prashasane Gargi, shows a Ishvara's Sarveshwara. And then says Antah Pravishtaha Ayam Shasta. You can understand. Antah Pravishtaha, having entered every jiva. We have seen that. Where did he enter? That also we know, right? As a Karana Sharira. That belongs to him. Karana Sharira is where the Karya is. So where the subtle body is, there the Karana Sharira is. So he is, as a Ishvara, as Antaryami, controls every Karana Shariram, which is storehouse of karmas and vasanas. And so he releases. And so accordingly, subtle body and the gross body also remains under the control. If Karana is under the control, Karya will be automatically under control. So Antah Pravishta San. So having entered every jiva, Ayam means this Ishvara or this Antaryami. Shasta means basically Antaryami. He is a controller of a jiva, and he is a controller of a jiva, that's correct. But definitely is guided by free will and karma of a jiva. Jiva's karma, he releases definitely karmas, but the karmas have been done by jiva only, right? Out of that portion, sanchita, he releases. And vasanas also, which are gathered by the jiva while doing karma, etc. or while enjoying the karma phala. So this is how he functions as Antaryami. So this Antah Pravishtaha Shasta, Ayam Shasta Jananam, that is also Shruti. It is in a Taittiriya Aranyaka actually. And Taittiriya Aranyaka has 10 chapters. This particular quotation is from 3rd chapter and 11th mantra. And this Taittiriya Aranyaka are 10 chapters. Out of that 7, 8, 9 and 10 are Taittiriya Upanishad. And 7th chapter is a Shikshavalli. 8th chapter is Brahmanandvalli. 9th chapter is Bhruguvalli. And the 10th chapter is Mahanarayana Upanishad. This is how it is. And that's how they call it 10th chapter is a Narayana Valli also. They consider it as a Upanishad, part of Taittiriya Upanishad. Even though generally we study 3 Vallis in Taittiriya Upanishad. But Mahanarayana Upanishad is a part of this only. That's a 10th chapter. And 1 to 6 chapters will belong to Karmakanda. So Taittiriya Aranyaka has 10th chapter out of this is this. But anyway, 3rd chapter has this quotation, 11th mantra, Antah pravishtaha ayam shasta jananam. Jananam. All jivas basically are controlled by this Ishvara through karmas. But the karmas are basically which are done, and the vasanas also gathered by the jivas. In Shabrimala they call Dharma Shasta. Shabrimala. So I remember the word this Shasta. Shasta they call Dharma Shasta, Ayyappa. Anyway, so first quotation of Shruti is for Sarveshwaratvam, and the second quotation for Antaryamitvam. Verse 182. Jagadyo nirbhavedeshah prabhavapyaya krutvatah avirbhavatiro bhavau utpatti pralayau matau. So with previous verse, Antaryami topic is over. Hush. Okay? But it gave so much of insight into the whole thing. So we were not knowing even Sarveshwara, what is Sarveshwara and what is Antaryami and all this. And Antaryami word has not been explained anywhere. I have tried to find the explanation of Antaryami before studying Pancadasi. I could not find anywhere. Even Bhashyakara also mentions 1 or 2 lines, etc. Just he gave a detailed account. 163 we began Antaryami topic, and it was over in 181. So 19 verses an explanation of word Antaryami. That Antaryami word from where he picked up? From Mandukya. Right? Esha Sarveshwaraha, Esha Sarvagnaha, Esha Yonihi Sarvasya, etc. etc. Prabhavapyayohi Bhutanam, Mandukya Upanishad, 6th mantra. So now in that 4th attribute of the Ishvara, which needs to be explained now. So that is left over, right? Sarvagnaha has been explained. Sarveshwaraha explained. Antaryamitvam explained. Now what is left over? Sarvasya Yonihi. So now he starts that. So Eshaha Jagad Yonihi Bhavet. So this Sarvagnya, Sarveshwara, Antaryami is not only Nimitta Karanam, Sarvasya Jagad Yoni. I told you also before, Yoni word in Shastra is for Upadana Karanam. So Shastrasya Yoni, Shastra Yonitvad in Brahma Sutra also. Shastra Yonitvat, so he is even a material cause of Shastra also. Means from Ishvara only the Shastras have come. So Yoni indicates a Upadana. So Sarvagnaha, Sarveshwaraha, Antaryamihi does not indicate he is a material cause. He is a Nimitta Karana. Naturally. Karma Phala Data, Karma Dhyakshaha, creator, just creator. Nimitta Karana. But this Sarvasya Yoni indicates Upadana Karana. So Mandukya Upanishad, that 6th mantra indicates both. Sarveshwaraha, Sarvagnaha, Antaryami, Nimitta Karana. Sarvasya Yonihi, Upadana. And here it has been told as a Prabhavapyaya Krutvatah. That is there even in Mandukya also. Prabhavapyayohi Bhutanam Prabhavaha Apyayah. So basically responsible for Prabhavaha, emergence of Bhutana, of Jivas. Apyayah, well, definitely resolution. In general we can say he is basically responsible for emergence and resolution of entire universe. One who is a cause of basically entire universe, material cause. Because the emergence from womb, right, and resolution indicates material cause. Yeah. A given thing resolves into something, that becomes a material cause. That is a material cause. From there only it has come and there only it goes. That's how it is. Where the pot resolves only in clay. And from clay only it emerges. And so, emergence and resolution. Prabhava and apya indicates material cause. That has been there in the Mandukya Upanishad. Prabhavapyayohi bhutanam. Sarvasya yonihi also, and prabhavapyayohi bhutanam. So here Vidyaranya says prabhavapyaya krutvatah. Prabhavapyaya krut. Krut means one who is the cause of, basically, of this prabhava and apya, emergence and resolution. So now the question is, what do you mean by this? The Lord, who is a creator and dissolver. What do you mean by that? Actually, according to our experience, nothing can be destroyed and nothing can be basically created. Even scientists also say that, definitely this matter cannot be created or destroyed. This Nyaya philosophers say things are created out of nothing, because see, Nayayikas don't accept Ishvara as a Upadana Karam. This is the only Vedantins. This is a Vedantins contribution. That is how we are able to say that everything is Ishvara. Otherwise, how will you say? If Ishvara is a creator sitting somewhere he creates, then this creation is definitely apart from the creator, naturally. Then from where this creation comes? What is the material for this creation? So everyone has to do a guesswork then. So even Nayayikas also do this. They say this creation is out of nothing. So anyway, we say it is not possible. Bhagavan creates the world. I last in that Sunday classes also I mentioned few things out of this. Vaisheshika and Nayaka, they are basically twin brothers. They have this philosophy that out of atoms everything is created, etc. And so a given thing was not there before creation. It was in atomic form, and therefore it was not. We say what you see now goes to a potential condition. See, we always say the whole tree was there, in a seed form. Naturally, whatever you see in the tree right now was there in a potential condition. That's our philosophy. Even Sankhyas also. But then we and Sankhya also then not all the time go together. Then that we know. I have told you also a few things, and when the time comes I will tell you. But then this Nayayikas I am talking about right now they say, don't think this creation which you see is a manifestation. And this whole thing was in unmanifest condition, Maya, etc. No. The creation was not there before. It was just atoms. And then atom united and makes molecules and all that. They have that theory. Anyway, so basically we say it is not possible. Bhagavan creates the world. That cannot be proved, but it is against reasoning. But Vidyaranya says, it is accepted. Bhagavan basically manifests the world. Bhagavan does not create the world, and it is what we say. His Maya only manifest. Ishvara's Maya manifest, that is world. Goes to unmanifest condition at the time of resolution, and that is Pralaya. And so Ishvara basically manifests the world, but Ishvara only brings a resolution. All 14 lokas and even the jivas with a free will and everything, that was there in potential form. All karmas were there in potential form. So Jeev, Jagat, Karta, his karmas all were there in a potential form. So he can't create world. He basically brings into manifestation. So Bhagavan as though wakes up all the jivas basically. Sushti means manifestation. And that Bhagavan himself says at two places in Bhagavad Gita itself. Avyaktadini bhutani, vyakta madhyani bharata, avyakta nidanani. Elsewhere, avyaktad vyaktayas sarvaha prabhavanti aharagame ratragame praliyande tatreva avyakta sanyake. That's the 8th chapter. Avyaktad vyaktayas sarvaha. From avyakta it has come to the manifest condition. And prabhavanti aharagame. Aharagame. Ahaha agame. Aha means when the day arises. Day of a Brahmaji. When day of Brahmaji arises, the whole creation comes to manifestation. And when Brahmaji goes to sleep, then Ratri Agame, when it arises, Ratri, when night arises, when the night comes, Ratri Agame, then basically whole creation goes to unmanifest. And in 2nd chapter, Avyaktadini Bhutani Vyakta Madhyani. All these Bhutas, Bhavanti iti Bhutani, all the things which you sing, all the beings, and the things which are existing right now. They are all called Bhutani. You can take it both. Both, sentient, insentient, both. Avyaktadini, they all were there in Avyaktadini. Bhutani, Avyaktani. So they were there in unmanifest condition, they only now are manifest. So creation resolution is in terms of a manifestation and unmanifestation. The whole creation was there in a potential condition. So that is how it is. So Bhagavan does not destroy also, Bhagavan does not create. Destruction means asat karyavada, we call. Asat. Whole, it turns to zero. Nothing will be there. And well, that we don't accept. We say Satkaryavada. And so, at the time of creation, he again manifests jivas, karmas and free will and everything goes to, and then at the time of resolution, unmanifest. So, Avirbhava and Tirobhava. Avirbhava means Srushti, Tirobhava means Pralaya, iti matau. So, it says Avirbhava, Tirobhava, Utpatti, Pralayo, iti matau. Avirbhava, Utpatti. Tirobhava, Pralaya. Matau iti matau. Well, this is Advaitin's conclusion. This is our mata. Now, further we will see tomorrow. Day after tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.